Hey, everybody, this is Amazing Fantasy Football. I am Josh, and over there is the Riggs to my Murdoch.
Christopher.
And Chrissy is.
I'm too
How you
old
doing
for
tonight,
this.
Chris?
Wait, no, you're too old for this. Anyway,
I am too old for this shit.
Yeah, that's right. I'm doing wonderful. Kind of like our buddy in chat over here, old Wonder Tech, showing up early on time. Oh wait,
Yeah.
we've got two of them. We've got multiples. I don't know
There's
what we're gonna
multiple
do with
techs, multiple wonders. I don't know if I can handle multiple wonders.
multiple wonders of the world.
We do have a question here right off the bat. It says Damian Pierce versus the Bears, or Daryl Henderson versus the. Why can I never remember this on stream?
I have a schedule right here just for this occasion. The Daryl Henderson is versus the Cardinals.
Oh.
Houston's play the Bears. Yeah, about Houston's. Texans play the Bears. Texans at Bears.
I'm going Henderson.
I want Henderson too, I believe.
Because you're making me choose.
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah, pretty close. I know Damian Pierce has had a rough go so far. He was okay last week in usage, but maybe not in quite points. But yeah, the Bears are okay, I guess, at stopping the run. It's hard to say. Week 1, the Packers were extremely anemic. Or no, that was last week. And they did okay. Anyways, yeah, I'm going Daryl Henderson. Until Damian Pierce can really prove more, I'm letting him ride the pine or trading him if I can trade him away for something irrelevant. So that's going to be more in Dynasty than in redraft. Redraft, you're hold.
Yeah. Maybe.
Anyways,
maybe we'll talk a little bit more about Damian Pierce later in the show.
Oh God, I hope not.
I love to meet your hopes and expectations with flying colors.
And my knots and whatnots. Anyways, so we are Amazing Fantasy Football. Chris, you're having a good night. I'm doing okay too, Chris. Thanks for asking.
How you doing, buddy?
I am doing pretty good. It has been an interesting week in the life of Josh, my professional life, but it's not a bad thing. Just interesting, different, kind of exciting. Not arousing, but just exciting. Just beating Wonder Tech to the punch there. Anyways, so we are here to talk about some news, which, Chris, I believe you have some news for us. There's a lot of injuries and things to keep an eye on this week. And unfortunately, not a lot to really there's some hopes and dreams that are for week 3. There's some probably nots, and then a whole lot of big old question marks. Chris, why don't you kick us off?
We'll go by position tonight. Trey Lance, ankle injury, is on the IR, had surgery to repair 2 injuries on his ankle. He's done for the year. In comes the not tonight. In comes Jimmy G. Justin Herbert, ribs, as we all saw that night. Limited practice Thursday. Says he's more comfortable now than Monday. Word of the day, kids, is flak jacket. That's the word. Alvin Kamara ribs in getting a limited practice in this week for old Alvin Kamara with his ribs. CMC, this popped up, I feel like just today maybe. Ankle injury, limited practices. Sounds precautionary, but sounds a crunch wrap supreme this week.
He sounds like he's good to go, like a Crunch Wrap Supreme. Come on. Like we talked about this like a week or two ago. Give it the times, man. Give it the times from 12 years ago.
Yeah, right. J.K. Dobbins, knee questionable. He should have just been put on the pup with his knee recovering from tearing his ACL. Yeah, because we're hitting 3 weeks now.
It actually he got in full practice. It sounds like all this week, and maybe good to go for week 3.
Coach John Harbaugh says when J.K. Dobbins is ready, he'll be out there. Sherlock. James Conner, questionable with an ankle injury. Did not practice Wednesday. Keep a watch. Important to note that Darrell Williams and Eno Benjamin finished Sunday's games with pretty equal amounts of touches. Yeah, I heard that somewhere, that it was kind of just like even down the middle split when there was no Conner for the brief time there wasn't.
And
it was terribly long.
Like a lot of people thought, and Chris, I think you called it in the preseason, is that Darrell Williams is kind of more maybe the guy that's going to step up if Conner gets hurt. versus getting playing time while Connor is healthy and on the field, and Benjamin will be the one spelling Connor. Did you not say? I swear you said that in some preseason.
You're saying that I said that Darrell Williams would be the substitute for Connor, but Eno would be kind of the complimentary back while Connor's healthy?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I suggested something along those lines. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Looks like you're right, dude.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see, I guess. Let's hope Connor stays healthy for fantasy's sake. Damian Harris, knee injury, questionable. Not expected to be serious, but he was seen grabbing his knee after a carry late in the game. Harris told a report after the game, "I'm fine, dog." Leonard Fournette, a hammy, limited practices. So far, it is being said that the Bucs are just managing his injury by limiting. Yeah, he's going to get veteran preference Wednesdays, if not Thursdays, also. On to the receiver position, Jerry Jeudy, shoulder, ribs, kind of piling up there. Questionable. Left the Broncos Week 2 game with initial thought to be a shoulder injury, but head coach Hackett said the injury is Judy's ribs. Okay.
Yeah.
Quez Watkins, kind of a random name here, but I felt like he flashed.
I don't know, man. He had a good week too.
He flashed a little bit, yeah, didn't he? Illness, missed practice Wednesday. Keenan Allen, here we go. Hammy sandwich. That's a hamstring, folks, just for those you in case you're not.
Hammy sandwich.
Allen has been taking part in individual drills. This when told Daniel Popper of The Athletic. He has got a shot to play this week. Chris Godwin, same thing. Hamstring has not been practicing. I'm sorry, knee/hamstring has not been practicing so far this week. Outlook isn't good for his week 3 status. Mike Evans, suspension, of course. Mike Evans has been suspended for the week 3 game due to a fight with Saints Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, I believe it's the second time he's been suspended for fighting with Marshawn Lattimore.
Yep, I think that's
for reals.
Michael Pittman quad limited practices so far this week. Devin Duvernay in concussion protocol. Gabe Davis hurt his ankle last Saturday in practice and missed Bill's Monday night game. I think he's good to go. I think he's a Crunchwrap Supreme or whatever the heck you call it.
Yep.
Or at least he said as much. He's not a doctor though, may I remind you folks.
He just plays one on TV.
Julio, where are we here? Knee questionable. Julio missed week 2, and if he does this week, Russell Gage.
Gage anyway?
A little bit about that too, but anyway, Julio still isn't practicing this week. There's speculation on whether the Bucs are being cautious with Julio or if he legit cannot practice. Well, I mean, caution would be the way I would lean when you know Mike Evans is going to miss, and it's all signs pointing to Godwin missing. So I think you need Julio and Gage. Not necessarily in your fantasy lineups, but as a Bucs,
I think you need them in your fantasy lineups too if they're not playing.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah. Michael Gallup knee/ACL, full practice on Thursday.
Yeah, dude, I was surprised to read that today.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be on pitch count to go to one of your favorite baseball references.
I want to slap you so bad.
That's the reason why I use it every time. Honestly, that's the only reason. So no, I think he might. There's a possibility he's going to get out there, but I don't know.
Oh, and I didn't put it in the news, but there was some bullshit going around about Dak maybe playing this week. No. He was. I think it was a practice. Since we were talking about the Cowboys, I was like, I'll throw it in.
Yeah, I think it was a practice ball. He was gripping and throwing practice balls.
Was he gripping and ripping?
Or training balls, or whatever they call them. Something like that.
He was grabbing balls. Got it.
Okay. But not a real NFL football, and not to the degree that you would need to in a game. So, but anyway.
But grabbing balls nonetheless.
Got some more receivers to finish up here. Allen Lazard ankle, non-participant in practice today. It's Thursday, may I remind you folks. It is thought that Lazard will play in week 3, and that holding him out today was precautionary.
Yeah, he played last week, and he was out there a lot. So he only got like 3 targets maybe, or 3 catches. I can't remember which. So it was a disappointing week last week, but, he was out there. Looked okay.
And one of the reasons that is most important is both Christian Watson and Sammy Watkins have hamstring injuries. I think that popped up today also, Thursday, like midweek or whatever. One of those pop-ups in the middle of practice type of things. Hamstrings did not practice Thursday. I'm starting to think no one practiced for the Packers today. No, but in all seriousness, you gotta. That's worrisome, especially with the receiver position, especially with a hamstring, especially midweek, like a Thursday thing. Hunter Renfrow, concussion, and non-participant in Wednesday's practice. He'll need to get at least practice in Friday to have a real shot to play on Sunday. Van Jefferson, knee, not practicing. Sounds like he's missing week 3. I mentioned him a week or 2 ago about, hey, keep an eye out. Maybe you can, if you got a roster spot to burn, you could snag him before it's too late. But it's looking like, hey, keep waiting. Honestly, no reason to jump on him now.
Maybe. I mean, if you want to get in on, if you really want to get in on Van Jefferson, this was a good matchup. It was a good matchup this week to grab him. But I mean, if you say come Sunday morning and you have a roster spot, maybe pick up Van Jefferson now, and that way you don't have to burn any fab for him come Tuesday.
I did mention it last week in hopes of participating in this matchup, but yeah.
I said you mentioned it, and I'm like, if you're into Van Jefferson, not really sure why, but if you are,
I think it's trying to capture some Robert Woods, some Odell
some
Beckham
lightning
Jr.
in a bottle. Yeah, there you go.
Lightning. They aren't the Chargers, they're the Rams. But their helmets look a lot like the Chargers. I don't like that. Anyway, Chargers were redone also. George Kittle, onto the tight end position. George Kittle with a groin injury, limited practices this week. Niners are optimistic he'll make his 2020 debut in week 3. Dalton Schultz.
Hope in one hand and poop in the other.
Exactly. Dalton Schultz, a knee, sprained his PCL, I believe it was. Pretty sure I saw in practice at all this week. I don't think he's going to play. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so either.
He is out.
It's okay. So Michael
Gallup have some tight end streamers for you folks that are missing Schultz and Kittle. Or, well, we'll see about Kittle, but yep. Go ahead. What were you saying, Josh?
Let's just skip ahead let's just talk about some Cowboys wide receiver. One in particular. I want to talk about one, Mr. Noah Brown. What do you feel about Noah Brown, Chris?
Given the Gallup news, I think it's at best.
You think he's just gonna fade?
Yeah. Well, once Gallup's back, yeah. There's no way they're not playing Gallup over Noah Brown. Noah Brown's been a fan favorite, a coaching staff favorite. He's been with him for over 4 years, like 5 or 6 years, I think, and he's a great blocker. Really? Yeah, he's a big receiver.
He looked okay last week.
But yeah, you're right. I was very impressed. He's been one of my favorites. I probably had him on the Dynasty squad 2 years ago with some hope that he might break through, and just never happened. No, I think Gallup's a better player, more talented guy, assuming health, of course. Yeah, but hey, maybe this report is kind of false.
But with Schultz out, I mean, Noah Brown's still an option.
Somebody's got to catch the ball. Maybe we'll talk about that later on, too.
It's certainly not CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, he was okay last week.
I know. I'm making a joke.
Yeah, in terms of real football, he was good. In terms of fantasy, he was fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, maybe we'll talk about some of those targets later on in the show.
Chris, I think you got some running backs that you want to wow us with. You want me
to start off?
Yeah. Why not?
Sounds good to me. I've got one Miles Sanders for you to ponder this week.
I don't think there's much pondering. I think I don't know if he's a must start, but I like what I've seen from Sanders so far this year. So I like this.
He leads all backs with a 53% snap, all Philly backs with a 53% snap share over the first 2 weeks, which isn't great, but he does lead all Philly backs with 3 red zone attempts and has 1 score from the red zone. Washington is giving up 157, their opponent this week. Washington is giving up 157 rushing yards per game, including 191 to Detroit last week, including a league-leading 7.5 yards per attempt, while simultaneously giving up the second most fantasy points to the running back position.
Nice.
He is a solid flex, if not a smash RB2 this week.
I think he's a smash RB2 this week.
Yeah.
I'm making a face at you because
sorry,
you said flex. I'm like, what? No.
Well.
No. Go. Sorry. No, I like that a lot, dude.
Yeah.
So Miles Sanders only has 1 touchdown this year. Do you know what kind of an improvement percentage wise that is from last year? 100% improvement.
Doubled his output.
No, that would still be 0. 2 times 0 is still 0.
Oh, fine. Whatever.
Just
Exponentially.
saying.
Whatever.
And then Mitch runs one in. That bastard. Okay, my first wide receiver here. Let me flip this over here, and I'm gonna scroll up to and scrolling. I'm gonna save that one for last. My first wide receiver is T. Higgins, as we like to call him. The love affair between Tiggins and AFFB is well documented. Let the love roll on this week. Tiggins got a concussion in week 1, but got back to playing last week and had himself a pretty darn good game. It was against the Cowboys. Sorry about that, Chris, but it wasn't. I'm pretty sure Diggs was on Jamar Chase, and Chase's stat line kind of showed of it. I mean, Diggs had a couple good plays defending Chase last week. So, anyways, Tiggins outscored Chase and was wide receiver 16 last week, and he caught 6 of his 10 targets. That's 10 targets just last week, folks, for 71 yards and a touchdown. Not a world breaker, but performance, but a very solid overall one. This week, Tiggins and the Bengals get the Jets. If Cincy isn't salivating in a chance to right the ship, then there really is a Super Bowl hangover curse, or whatever the hell it's called. So I like me some Tiggins this week. What's your next guy, Chris?
Yeah, they need to keep Burrow upright. He's getting destroyed.
Yeah, that offensive line is having some problems.
They've gone up against a couple good pass rushes, but I digress. I should have gone and done 2 in a row because I'm going to piggyback on that exact very same matchup on the other side of the ball and gives you a Gibson-McKissick sandwich because similar to Sanders, it's not all roses in terms of running back by committee and snap share, etc. With Gibson. He's still in a timeshare, if you will. But I'm doubling up on this matchup at hand because I think it's going to be a lot higher scoring than they're giving it credit.
Probably.
Gibson does have a 59% snap share on the season, but this is kind of a good or bad thing. More bad, really. He has been buoyed by a 8-target, 7-catch game in week 1 and a touchdown in week 2. Otherwise, he hasn't been very good on the ground, averaging only 3.07 yards per carry. Nonetheless, he and McKissick get an Eagles defense, giving up the 6th most fantasy points to running backs, 1.5 rushing touchdowns per game, and are second worst in the league in yards per attempt. The over-under is 46.5. Again, I think they're off. I think it's going to be a bit higher scoring. Maybe they're looking at it from a divisional matchup thing, and that's always kind of a low-scoring affair. Maybe they're looking at it like Carson Wentz versus his old team. Maybe they have his number type of thing. I don't know. I don't necessarily get it. I think these two defenses are pretty bad, and and the offenses aren't too shabby either, especially when you talk about the Eagles offense. So I like Gibson, McKissick. Obviously, Gibson is more of your I don't know, what is he? Probably an RB2, clearly. McKissick is more of a, if you need somebody to flex and you're in a PPR, obviously most of us are in a PPR, but definitely a full PPR. Give McKissick a long, hard look.
If you're not playing in some sort of PPR, right. We don't like you.
Yeah, but I would definitely give McKissick a harder look in a full PPR.
The one thing I have to say is that the Eagles defense really kind of shut down the Vikings offense last week.
They did. I did look at that rushing matchup. I was like, ooh, they really shut Cook down. They did.
They kind of shut down the entire offense, man. Like, I barely squeaked out a dynasty win last week.
Yeah.
And
But
Kirk
I'm looking for
Cousins
some. I'm sorry. Gibson.
Dalvin Cook was RB43 last week.
It was awful.
Yikes.
But Gibson did have this 8-target, 7-catch week. McKissick is obviously, he's getting 4 or 5 a game. He's. It would be no surprise to see him get 8 targets in a comeback affair, or what have you. So I wanted to include them both in that, but obviously a little bit on a different spectrum of the rankings. But matchup. I'm all over that matchup, as you can clearly tell by my first 2.5 running backs.
So since we are talking about that matchup, Chris, I feel like I need to talk about some Curtis Samuel here. Chris, okay. I feel like my love for Curtis Samuel came a season too early. I was kind of all over him last year, and then some dude that we can never seem to name right properly came in as their quarterback, and was it Tatum Herring?
No, it was Toby Hankins.
Okay, I'm not sure who that is, but you're probably closer than I am. Anyways, and I'm starting to wonder, Chris, if the Colts were the problem last year and it wasn't Carson Wentz. I'm really starting to wonder that.
That's easy to say after week 2.
I have said this numerous times that Carson Wentz got a raw deal at the end of last year because in week 17, 18, when the Colts needed a win and they fell apart against Jacksonville, that was the entire team's fault, not just Carson Wentz. And I'm starting to wonder if Frank Reich is... I mean, think about it this way with the Colts. So I'm not just to digress for a second. Frank Reich started, if you remember, the Colts initially wanted Josh McDaniels to be their head coach. Josh McDaniels is the guy who brought in, I believe, Nick Sirianni, who is now the head coach of the Eagles. He also brought in Matt Eberflus, who's now the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Frank Reich didn't bring those guys in, but now those guys are gone. And even last year, Nick Sirianni was already gone. Is Frank Reich just not a very good head coach, and that it was actually these guys that were making the team better? I'm really starting to wonder, dude. I'm going to give the Colts a mulligan for this week because it's the Chiefs, but they got to at least show some improvement.
I have to at least appreciate the angle you're taking. Yeah, I don't agree at this point in time, but at least it's not some conspiracy stuff. I mean, it's grounded in some reality. You know, I'll put it that way.
Anyways, so back to Curtis Samuel and Carson Wentz here. Wentz has made some mistakes for the Commanders so far this year, but he's also been slinging the rock all over the damn place, dude. Like, he's not looked terrible. Like I said, like some mistakes. Anyways, Curtis Samuel is in on 80.1% of the team's snaps, garnering 23% of the team's targets. That's more than Jahan Dotson, the rookie, the veteran Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, or Logan Thomas. He is number one targeted person on that team by Carson Wentz. Samuel is currently the wide receiver 9, averaging over 17 points per game. It may only be a 2-week blip, but why not ride the hot hand here? The Commanders get the Eagles this week, who held the Vikings in check last week, but gave up big games to Amon-Ra St. Brown and a pretty decent game to DJ Chark. Curtis Samuel, dude, I have picked him up anywhere I possibly could in every league. Because, I mean, even this week he was still available, and I was just like, dude, yes. Like, I picked him up over the garbage at running back out there. Like, every single league I'm in, there is garbage available for running backs. So I'm like, might as well pick up Curtis Samuel.
Of course, it's awful. We expected as much. Yeah.
I made a tweet earlier this week that I was like, I really wish I would have went running back. This is terrible. You know. Anyways, who's your next guy?
I got Mr. Dameon Pierce. He's averaging 14 touches per game on the season, but has faced 2 solid run defenses in Denver and Indianapolis. Denver is giving up the least fantasy points to the running back position on the season, and Indy is second in the league with a very low 2.7 yards per attempt. Week 1 snap percentage was Rex Burkhead's 71% to Pierce's 29%. However, week 2 almost kind of flip-flopped to Rex at 37%, Pierce at 62%. Interestingly enough, I don't have much on the matchup that he's playing against this week. That's weird. I've got that he's got Flexworthy written all over him, but I'd like to know a little bit more about his opponent here, Christopher, who we talked about earlier. Yeah, we picked Pierce for that question we had earlier.
No, we picked the other guy.
Did we really?
Yep. Who was... I can never remember anything I say during this thing.
Anyway, he's playing the Bears.
It was Darrell Henderson.
Oh, right. Yeah, I would still do that again. But they're playing the Bears this week, so not very good.
Who are giving up the eighth most points to running backs. There you go. So that just helped you out there, buddy.
Yeah, appreciate that. Not sure what happened with Mr. Chris's notes there, folks. They took a wrong turn.
No, if you make your wife call you Mr. Chris, I am no longer a fan of your wife or you.
What?
A, for going along with it, and B, yeah.
I don't know why I said that. I just said that. Okay, on to your next receiver, sir.
My next receiver is...
Help me, I'm Johnny.
Chris's nemesis, Allen Robinson. The guy who Chris would trip if he was on crutches.
No, you're not.
Here's why you shouldn't give up on A-Rob just yet. He has run 97% of the routes per 97% of the routes per Stafford's dropbacks, more than Cooper Kupp. He's been on 94.7% of the team snaps. He was virtually ignored in week 1, but then he got 5 targets last week, and one of those targets he caught a touchdown. I like Allen Robinson going up to what has been an extremely poor Cardinals defense this week. This is I can't keep a straight face after one of the text comments there.
Oh, dang it. I'm not manning the ship here. Good Lord.
Like I said, I like Allen Robinson against the Cardinals this week. The Cardinals they're kind of spiraling out of control. Like, I would say the Colts are the biggest surprise, but I think the Cardinals are actually the biggest surprise as to the team that is just. I'm kind of gobsmacked of like how bad they've been, considering like the Colts get a pass because an aging Matt Ryan is their quarterback. What about the Cardinals and Kyler Murray? Like, it's just I know that Kyler doesn't have a plethora of weapons around him, but man, it is not good. Like, that offensive line for the Cardinals is really, really bad. Their defense isn't helping them at all. So, and because of that, Allen Robinson, dude, I like him to have another good game this week. And then maybe consider trading him away just in case Chris is right and Allen Robinson is washed.
Just in case they think they can get more out of Van Jefferson and company, if you will.
Yeah. More on Rams players in a little bit.
Oh, boy. Okay. Onward with my next running back, Jamal Williams, Lions running back. I wanted to include... I'm sorry, why does that say Jamal Williams? And this is about Javonte. That's so odd. Nobody yet. A horrible edit. I'm firing my editor tonight. Javonte Williams.
The one editing. I'm firing you.
What? Don't.
Fired.
And like I'm the one who edited this. Oh, heavens no. Javonte Williams. I wanted to include Javonte even though he has a tough matchup versus the Niners. First of all, while San Fran is 7th best in fantasy points given up to backs, and a league best 2.6 yards per attempt. That has been versus the horrible Bears and Seahawks rushing attacks. And Jerry Jeudy missed practice again today, so I like Javonte to get plenty of targets and dump offs to have a nice PPR day and help you as more of an RB2 versus a stingy Niners rush defense. For a little update on how it's looking versus Mr. Gordon, Javonte is up to a 61.5 snap share on this season and leads the league in running back targets. So I wouldn't say he's leaving Gordon in the dust by any stretch, but these are clear indicators that he is you could say 1A.
Okay, it's still close to a 60-40, but that's fine.
I think their targets were split more fairly last year. Even if you throw snap percent,
that's true. You're absolutely correct.
So I think that's leaning in his favor lately. Anyway, yeah, I like him in this matchup to catch those balls, if you will.
All right, my next guy is DJ Chark, a preseason sleeper of mine and Chris's. Chark had a pretty solid week 1.
Bit of a stinker last week.
He caught half of his 8 targets for 52 yards and a touchdown. Like I said, pretty good, not great. Last week, we really don't need to talk about that, Chris. Just don't need to talk about it. Just
kind of like
be quiet.
The defense on Minnesota earlier.
I love Chark this week, though. The Lions are playing the Vikings this week, whose defensive numbers might be anchored a touch by playing the anemic Packers offense in week 1. But last week on Monday Night Football part like 1.35 or something, considering the games overlapped by like 2/3. Why did they have them overlap? Why didn't one start at like 5 and the other one start at like 8?
You're not the only one to bring that up by any stretch of the imagination.
Anyways, the Eagles went to pound town on the Packers, dude. Quez Watkins and Devonta Smith blazed past the Vikings secondary for 13.9 and 11.5 points. I say blazed because they were beating the Vikings deep. That is Chark's game. I like Chark to stretch the field against the Vikings secondary and stretch your fantasy points to a victory. Okay, kind of forced that one in there, but, I'm not apologizing for it. Stretching you to a victory this week, DJ Chark. I'm starting him, and I think I only have him in 1 league this year, actually. But I'm going to start him in that league this week. I think it's a good matchup.
Okay. I like it. On to my last running back of the evening here. I'm going to piggyback a little bit on the targets to be eaten up by a pass-catching running back shtick. And one Tony Pollard. And there's actually other reasons on top of that to give Pollard a fair shake this week. Zeke is seeing career lows in target share due to Pollard's piece of the pie, if you will. 7 targets last week for Pollard. They're seeing time on the field together, which makes sense when you have Schultz and multiple receivers banged up more. And it looks like Schultz, again, aforementioned, is going to miss time again this week. I think Pollard picks up some of that slack like he did last week.
I was wondering if you're going to do that, and B, I was like, of course he is. He's a stupid Cowboys fan.
I've been pretty decent about leaving them alone, especially Zeke. He hasn't been worth talking about.
That's not true at all.
What? Was like week 1 CD or something, maybe? Oh,
and then week 1 was like Zeke, and then week 2 was like Zeke again, and then
this
plus
is live, folks.
And,
I don't even do.
And then it was like, then it was like, oh God, Dak, rah, Dak's the greatest in the world. You doomed Dak to his injury, by the way.
I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, to finish up with Pollard here, even though Pollard's snap share went down in week 2 versus week 1, it went from 55% to 39%. He only lost the touch battle 13-16 to Zeke last week, and scored a touchdown along with 18 fantasy points, which the last time I checked is the season high for any Dallas running back. 18 fantasy points. Furthermore, I think the team has to and wants to run more with Cooper Rush under center. Therefore, there may be more early down work for Pollard, more rushes for Pollard as the weeks wear on. Here's another tidbit. Neither team has given up a rushing score. So the Giants, Cowboys, maybe we see somebody break through. Hopefully, Pollard. So yeah, I like that play a lot.
Anyways, yes, I do. I have one that's actually 2, and my last 2 guys are the cheetah and the penguin. Yes, that's right. It's a low hanging fruit time. Chris, do you know who the cheetah and the penguin are?
I would assume it is Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, because penguin.
You got it, buddy. You got it, dude. These 2 guys are freaking legit. Like we were saying in the offseason, Tua can't support 2 wide receiver ones. Well, he's been doing it for 2 weeks so far. Right now, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are wide receivers 4 and 5 respectively.
Ridiculous.
They're both averaging 25 points per game. Tua can Tua support those wide receiver ones through this week? Maybe not. They get the Bills this week, so they're going to be truly put to the test. According to PFF, Hill gets by far the better matchup by 20 PFF points or whatever. But these guys are still great, and don't you darn think about sitting either one of them. I mean, dude, how can Cooper Kupp put up 25.3 points against the Bills? So obviously one of these guys are going to go off. And why sit Waddle to the guy who has been kind of like everyone's been like Amon-Ra St. Brown has been a draft steal, a league winner so far. And I'm like, Jalen Waddle kind of has been too. Dude, if you blew off wide receiver until the 5th round and got Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jalen Waddle, your team is straight legit so far. And it's a little early to call this.
There's been some early round running back misses, to be fair, like Cook so far.
All of them.
I wouldn't go that far, but no. Either way, you make a valid point about those, I guess, 4th, 5th round receivers. You still make a valid point about that, yeah.
Anyways, so it's a little early to call it, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
A little early. But if they perform this week, are we potentially seeing, knock on wood, the 2022 greatest show on turf?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna
throw Gesicki in there too, getting his every once in a while.
I want to see a couple more weeks.
I said it's early.
It is. You did.
I said knock on wood.
You said after this week, though. I said I want a couple more weeks.
I said no. If they blaze by the Bills this, or if they rack
but they don't
up
have
some
a Marshall
points.
Faulk back there, so it's just yeah, I see what you're saying with the opened up pass game. I think one thing you didn't mention at the top, in addition to us and others wholeheartedly agreeing that Tua can't support 2 fantasy viable receivers, much less 2 top 12 fantasy viable receivers. The scheme also. Remember where Mike McDaniel's coming from San Fran. They're run heavy, and I think maybe it just tips the hat to the kind of that new hotness, kind of that young offensive minded head coach that you've been.
And a defense that isn't the greatest in the world either. If you're going to be run heavy, you got to have a good defense.
That's probably true, but I feel like they're a good pass defense. Maybe that's another tip to hat to him, that he's coaching to their strengths. Well, again, when you have Waddle and Hill, when you have Waddle and Hill, I think he's doing the right thing. I'm just pointing out that.
Remember last year too,
you can't say that about all coaches in the NFL, is what I'm saying. So
right, what we said. Remember last year when Waddle was like his ADOT was like 4 yards, and that would be average depth of target.
Because people thought Tua couldn't throw deep, etc. Yeah.
Well, that was a product of their bad offensive line, and Tua can't throw deep apparently. And I did that video about Tua too, and I was like, the guy can throw deep, but just he needs time to throw.
Yeah.
And they weren't giving him that, and he's having a little bit more time to throw. And I think and I think you have so I did that video 2 off seasons ago.
Oh yeah, it was.
And so that was before Jalen Waddle, or
before Waddle was drafted.
Jalen Waddle. Yeah, it was before Waddle was drafted, and now they got Tyreek Hill too. And man, and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are both guys that they can take a 5-yard pass and make it into 20 yards too. Because they can afford they're fast and elusive.
Now, whether they can afford them when Ty Hill's deal starts to come up and Waddle's rookie deal starts to come up here, and I guess Waddle has 2 more years.
3.
Because he was a first-round pick? Yeah, I think he was. Yeah, get a 5th-year option. Anyway, was that your last guy?
Guys, yeah. So let's move along to tight ends, and then we can do some BS at the end.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna start with tight ends.
Okay.
This might be some low-hanging fruit, but so far this tight end is tied with Albert O for the tight end 37 on the year. This is the same guy who in week 1 put up 5.8 points against Albert O, that is, who put up 5.8 points against Seattle, and then laid an egg for you last week in week 2. So, I'm talking about Kyle Pitts here. Kyle Pitts. He is so far the tight end 37 on the year. He's been downright useless. So, and this week the Falcons are playing the Seattle. How did Seattle do against Ross Dwelley filling in for Kittle? Well, and side note here, if you have George Kittle on your team, it's the rare tight end handcuff that maybe you should have Ross Dwelley on your team too, especially now that Jimmy G is at the helm.
Yeah, they showed some chemistry last year for sure in Kittle's.
Yeah, I think normally I'm not into handcuffing really anyone out in redrafts, but if you have George Kittle on your team, you might as well have Ross Dwelley as well. Just in case, because when Dwelley steps in, he usually does an okay job. He's not much useful. He's not very useful outside of if Kittle is playing, because Kittle's out there, whatever. But yeah, anyways, so Seattle only allowed 1 catch and a touch, but it was for a touchdown against Ross Dwelley. This may be a touch bowl, but with Jamal Adams out for I think the season, don't quote me on that. I like Pitts to get his 2022 season going against Seattle this week. You can't keep Kyle Pitts down forever. He's just too good of a player, man. I mean, I know you were definitely in on Pitts beforehand, using that stupid thing saying that I don't like. But Pitts is just too good. He's more or less a wide receiver. So I like Pitts to get going this week. It's a kind of a bold call, not based on anything other than a gut feeling. But start Pitts. I mean, you kind of drafted him to do so. But anyways.
I'm glad you included it. I'm going to go ahead and give you my quick spiel about Pitts and then continue on with my first legit guy. I put Pitts at the end as an honorable mention since he's not really, quote, streamable. But I said start him with confidence. Both those bad games did come from pretty good defenses in the Saints and the Rams, and then exactly what you said about Jamal Adams. Yes, he is out for the rest of the year. And the Seahawks are giving up the 8th most fantasy points to tight ends. So yeah, smash. Just play this guy. I picked him up. Somebody actually dropped him in our AFFB league. Yeah.
What?
And Juju. I didn't pick up Juju, but he dropped Juju also.
Who did
Juju at
this?
least. Juju's nothing. Like, fine.
Who
I
did
get
this?
That. Him, I think.
I saw the Juju one, and I was like, okay, but I kind of get
Pitts.
it.
He dropped Pitts.
I didn't see that.
Get it. 2 targets for 2 weeks in a row. I get it, but for all the reasons we just mentioned, folks, don't drop Kyle Pitts for goodness sakes. If you need to bench him to make yourself to feel better about the situation, go for it. But I wouldn't bench him this week.
If you really don't like him that much on your team and you're frustrated with him,
Trade him.
Trade him then. Yeah, and trade him for something.
For something. Another star.
Someone's going to buy Kyle Pitts based on the name alone and ask for something decent for Kyle Pitts, too.
Yeah,
don't be like... Dude, even if someone picked up Curtis Samuel off the waiver wire, trade Kyle Pitts for Curtis Samuel. Someone's going to be like, well, I just got this guy for free, so whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
It's ridiculous. So, anyway, there's news
what's
for
your
you
What's your first guy?
My next guy, the first guy, whatever you want to call him, Logan Thomas of the Washington Commanders. Hey, I'm triple dipping on this matchup. My apologies, folks, but I just think it's not being given enough press right now. Philadelphia Eagles are 9th worst, giving up 10.9 fantasy points to the tight end position this season, and we're up fantasy points. Yes, I said that, and we're 2nd worst last season, also giving up second. Let me be clear here. Sorry. This season they're giving up the 9th most fantasy points to the tight end position. Last season they gave up the 2nd most, while also giving the most catches and touchdowns to the position. Logan Thomas's snap share increased from 62% to 73% last week, and he was the tight end 6th last week. Again, I think 46.5 over/under is selling this matchup a little short. Oh, and Carson Wentz revenge game or whatever. But yeah, I like Logan Thomas this week because I like the Washington pass game versus Philly. Who do you have, sir?
My next guy is a guy who we made a bet on last week, and I hate you for your horse named Tyler doing better than mine. That's right, Chris. You won the stupid Higbee versus Conklin bet. I do like Conklin again this week, but I like Higbee more.
Oh, okay.
Higbee ended up with 10.6 points last week, while Nana Barn Burner was good enough to be tight end 8 on the week. And this week the Rams get the Cardinals, who once again are giving up the most points to tight ends. Yeah, that is buoyed by a great week 1 performance by Travis Kelce and then Darren Waller last week. But I mean, if you're giving up points to those guys, like even Darren Waller, Darren Waller is not on the same level as Travis Kelce. Sorry, Darren Waller, you're not. You're not Travis Kelce, even Travis Kelce being 32. Sorry, you're not. Maybe it's because of your quarterback. Maybe it's because you're just not as talented as Kelce.
Maybe it's because Waller's also like 32. No, he might be a year younger.
29 or 30, I think.
Yeah, maybe he's 29. Okay, anyway, go ahead.
Anyways, so I'm sorry, Darren Waller. You're just not as good as Travis Kelce. But I think Tyler Higbee can be useful for you again this week. So why not check out Higbee? I mean, I think he scored 10 points in the last 2 weeks. You got anything else Chris?
Yes. I've got another tight end for us.
I like how we were supposed to do 2 and we're doing like 20.
Well, yeah, I know. I threw in Pitts as an honorable mention because, again, he's not a streamable tight end. He should never be dropped. But I thought it was important to mention to people not to drop him. And then, of course, just some reassurance to start him with confidence this week. Anyway, but no, my last tight end is Evan Ingram of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 70% snap share.
Captain Dropsy himself.
Yeah, not this season. Not through 2 weeks. Chargers gave up 8 catches. Chargers being their opponent this week, the Jaguars' opponents this week.
Here we go.
Gave up 8 catches and 75 yards to Zach Ertz last week. And while he only has 74 yards, Ingram that is, he has an amazing catch percentage of 92% because he's caught 11 of his 12 targets. Jags are going to have to throw to keep up in this one. And Ingram is 22.8% rostered, so he's available out there. You need a guy. You're in a pinch. You're a Kittle owner, or you want to bench Pitts, and there's not a lot to pick from. There you go, Evan Ingram.
I got 2 more. 2 more. My tight end dark horse this week is Will Dissly.
Really do have 2 more? Oh my God.
Yeah. Anyways, here's the Will Dissly so far is a tight end 14 on the year. Yes, he's only 7% 6.4 PPR points. I think that's supposed to be points per game, but he's getting Atlanta, who is allowing 12.9 points per game to the tight end position. Noah Fant doesn't scare me, and my boy Colby Parkinson didn't even play last week. It's close to the bottom barrel, but if you really need a guy, Will Dissly. Lastly, Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox, if healthy, we didn't put him in the injury news, but he's dealing with, I think, a bit of a knee thing. It sounds like he's going to play. So Dawson Knox this week, I know he's probably not available to pick up off your waiver wire, but maybe he is. The Dolphins are giving up the second most points to the tight end position. Chris, who's your quarterback streamer this week?
Jared Goff. I mean,
yes,
I believe in him. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jared Goff is the quarterback 9 on the season, and he only has one pick. Detroit is 4th in total offensive yards.
Dude, this is what we were hoping the Lions would be.
Yep, I know.
I'm not lying.
It's one of the only things
no pun intended there.
It's one of the only things that's consoling some of my fantasy teams and my awful Dallas Cowboys. Although, hey, we're coming off a win, whatever. Anyway, we got that. This game is tied, at least, with the highest over-under of the week, with a 53.5. The game is in a dome. I think Goff likes a dome, even going back to his Rams days, and the Lions also play in a dome. Although, to be clear, the game is
in Minnesota.
Yeah, in Minnesota. I think the QBs and the alpha receivers, Justin Jefferson on the other side, are going to want to show up for this one from a anything you can do, I can do better type of thing. I'm not saying Amon-Ra St. Brown is as good as Justin Jefferson. I'm just saying the way they're playing this year. Division. Hey, my other big matchup was another division matchup at the NFC East. No, I like this one a lot from Jared Goff. He is rostered in only 28.2% of leagues. Go get him, folks, and play him. He's a top 12 guy this week.
Okay. My quarterback stream of the week is the same guy that I had last week. That's right. I'm doubling down on Derek Carr. Last week, Derek Carr was my stream of the week, and he scored over 20 fantasy points. Yes, that was against the Cardinals' terrible defense. But this week, against the Titans' terrible defense, who are giving up 23 points per game to opposing quarterbacks. Derek Carr, you beautiful man, don't let me down. I know you will because I chose you, but don't let me down, damn it.
I love it.
And honestly, you can even throw like Darren Waller in there as like, you're going to start him anyways if he's on your team, but start him with confidence, guy. Because especially if Hunter Renfrow doesn't play this week because of his concussion, that really helps Darren Waller.
Sounds good. And may I remind you folks, just said this earlier in the show, stick around for our sleepers of the week. My sleeper this week is one my sleeper of the week is the one Jacoby Myers, who is currently rocking a 29.
That is also my sleeper of the week.
A 29.7% target share.
Sure is.
He gets a very banged up Ravens secondary that has given
the
most passing yards in the league and give up the most fantasy points to the wide out by a mile. That's a 55.6. This is per week. 55.6 fantasy points given up to wide receivers. Second place, 44.7. That's over 11 points there, folks. Math is hard. My sleeper of the week, Jacoby Myers. Also, may I remind folks to stick around for the question and answer portion of the show at the end of the segment. We've already had a little bit of chatter there, but yeah, always stick around. We need to remember, Josh, we need to be better about that. Entice them to stick around.
My sleeper of the week this week is Equanimous St. Brown, who's going up against the Houston Texans. He had a pretty decent week last week versus the Chiefs, Green Bay Packers. Sure, it was only 3.9 points, but he looks pretty good doing it. He had scored a touchdown in week 1. Yes, it was kind of in Justin Fields scrambling around for his life, and it was only 7.8 points, but it's the Houston Texans. And I totally had these all prepared because it was actually 4.9 points that he scored last week in half PPR.
Oh, he plays for
not what I said before. Anyways, there we go. That's my stream of the week. I was certainly not just riding on your coattails with Jacoby Myers.
Sounds great, sir. I was totally not right. All right, so yeah, that's the meat and potatoes portion of the show, folks. Always remember to submit your questions either throughout the week or during the show.
And Chris, how can they submit their questions?
Well, they can show up live and submit into the chat, and we'll show them here and on.
But
on
what if we're
screen
not
and
streaming?
Otherwise, you can submit them to Discord. Link is in the description. The AFFB Discord. Both of our Twitter handles are in the description. That's at Josh AFFB, at AFFB Chris, respectively. And then, of course, yeah, that's it.
All right. Stick around for some screwing around, and that'll end our recording. So, everyone, good luck on your fantasy weeks this week, and we'll catch you next time.
Have an amazing fantasy weekend.
Yeah. Chris, I would like you to address the question in chat here. I will read it to you. First question, How much extra testosterone would it take for Chris to look like Fitzmagic?
I mean, I've got a beard already. I don't know if I have his beard. I could have his beard.
But you don't have that beard. You don't have that chest hair. At least I'm imagining. So
I wouldn't.
Shut up, Undertech.
I don't know if I would go as far to say that, sir. So yeah, not much actually. Probably a lethal amount, eh?
You have not been obviously watching chat with me on Wondertech talking
No,
shit
I did
about
a little
you.
bit. I just didn't want to highlight them all and put them up on the screen.
He definitely got me during the recording with the what was it? Right about somewhere in the Browntown discussion. I don't remember exactly what it was. I saw it and I was like, "Oh, damn it! I lost my composure." Try to be more professional next time.
Oh, is that what you laughed at?
Yes, I was laughing at Wondertech's comment.
Looked at it. Which one was it again? Oh,
I'm trying to remember.
Anyway.
His wife makes him call.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
Mrs. Josh.
I had already taken my face cam off, or not my face.
That's
cam,
the one. Yeah, that's the one.
scenes.
That's the one that I lost composure over. I was like, "Yep, there it is." I knew he'd get me at least once. He usually does.
Do this. Let's put that up and then put that up in there. Looks like you're.
Chris, I would like to discuss a trade that went down in our league today.
Oh yes.
Cam Akers for Gerald Everett.
Oh what? Oh
yeah, you didn't see that?
League?
Yeah.
What? Cam Akers for Gerald Everett? I mean,
yeah.
I hate Cam Akers, so there's that, but it's still kind of odd to trade a running back for a tight end in that way.
I think that I was like, Gerald Everett went that cheap. I'd have traded for Gerald Everett.
Yeah, I guess you're taking that angle. I could see that. I guess I agree with that. I'm Mr. Gerald Everett, man. I mean, I've got him in, I guess, the other redraft league that I'm in. Who let that happen? Yeah, right. Who did that?
It was between Wondertech's brother and
dropped Pitts, is it?
No, it was between Wondertech's brother and Derek on the dock at work.
I mean, if you have somebody behind Everett, I guess fine, or in front of Everett, should I say?
I didn't even look.
Yeah,
but I was just like,
no, I think that's kind of just because
I was trying to trade Cam Akers to me, and I'm like, no.
I just don't think Akers is useful. I just don't think it's useful. I think his usage is.
Or no. Buddy was trying to trade something to me. It wasn't Cam Akers because he just traded for Cam Akers. I don't know. It was weird. Chris, why wouldn't you trade me Travis Kelce?
Kelce? You mean Mahomes?
Mahomes.
I'm so confused. Because I don't hold up. Because either I should just make a part of the rebuild or hold out for a first. That simple.
I was offering you a first.
He's playing so good right now. Of not next year. I'm talking about next year's first. I want as many 2023 firsts as I can get.
I know. So do I. That's why I'm hanging on to mine. I offered you I offered you maybe my second. I was gonna ask for something else, like some low. I was gonna be like maybe some low tier player if I was gonna throw in the second. But Yeah. And I threw in like Cousins as well. I was like, that's pretty good.
It's enriching the pot, but I think I'll hold out for first, and if not, I'll hold on to Mr. Mahomes. Go down with the ship. I like Burrow. You know, I do like that replacement, as it were. But,
Yeah, I think I punched it into a trade analyzer or whatever, and it was like hands down in your favor. And it was like, I mean, that's obviously like, and it's nothing on you. I was just like, it was in your favor to begin with, and then I pumped in
and you pushed
a third and Kirk Cousins, and they're like, yeah, he's winning like handedly, and I'm like, I mean,
I drafted Mahomes to start this.
WonderTech wants to know. Speaking of this, WonderTech wants to know if there's a one chip challenge this year, and since you asked, there will be, because it's only like $8 on Amazon, and I will get it. I know where I fucked up last year. So I know how to beat this thing. I can do it this year. I didn't eat anything beforehand, so it was really like, it felt like a knife in my stomach.
Ugh.
I can do this year. I can do it. I will do it on a Sunday stream.
But no, that was all I was going to say. Was I drafted Mahomes to start this league in like the 14th or something in the startup. So a little bit of emotional, sentimental value there, but also the fact that he's a really good quarterback and he's young enough that he could be part of my rebuild, and he's shown that he can get rid of a Tyreek Hill and continue to produce crazy numbers. So I'll hold out for a first and see if I can get it elsewhere, or eventually from you. We'll see. Probably not.
Yeah, and then I went through the teams because I'm like, who else needs a quarterback? And there's a guy in our league that has Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. I'm like, what is the point of hanging on to all these guys?
Yeah. I do have two quarterbacks in a 12 team, the other redraft I'm in, because I had Dak. Right? Yeah. That league? Or no, in our league I had. Oh, I might have it in our league, actually, which is only a 10 team. Yeah, kind of Wentz, and I picked up Lawrence just as kind of a flyer. Like, I don't know, he seems to be heating up a little bit.
I don't know. The Colts are bad. That's fair.
That's fair. Mm-hmm.
Frank Reich, I don't think, is making it through this season.
Speaking of $8, what a deal. I think I got Kyle Pitts for less than that.
I said $8 per chip.
Oh, right. I'm just saying.
I will do that one chip challenge again.
I was like, I'm not going to win this. I already spent a bunch of money. I want it.
I blew a bunch of money on Curtis Samuel. The next best bid was $5. I thought for sure you were going after him, and I was like, all right. I'm like, oh. I didn't even think I was going to get him for that. I was like, after the 2 weeks he had, I was like, all right. I didn't think I put like $17 out there or something. I hadn't spent much money so far, so I wasn't like. I was like, all right, I'm fine, whatever. I'll do what I can. This is the only league that I'm in that has Fab, other than Dynasty. The other 3 leagues I'm in don't, and I'm like, what is this amateur BS right here? Yeah, next year, I think I'm going to do only like auction leagues.
I'm sorry, only auction leagues or only Fab leagues?
Well, auction to start, and anyways. What is the little nitro gummy bear thing to pay homage to Fitzmatt? What is little nitro gummy bear? Is that a gummy bear with crack in it?
Pay homage to Matt. I don't know what that is. Anyway,
first thing that pops up. Oh, it's the super spicy gummy bear, the world's hottest gummy bear.
Yeah, no,
also $8 on Amazon.
Putting this stuff in my mouth? No.
Flavor, spicy, color, red, style, classic.
Classic.
9 million Scoville units. 900 times hotter than a jalapeno.
Oh. That's a gummy
900 times hotter.
Even worse. All right, then. What else we got? You got any asking for a friend or anything like that?
Yeah, actually, I do. Let me pull up my league, all of my leagues.
Although I guess
here.
I should probably double check Twitter. See if anybody actually submitted a question to you or I. Yep, nope.
And nope.
Sorry. I'm so deprecating. That was so silly. Sorry, folks. I thought that was
Should
funny.
I continue to start Marquise Brown? Because I might have to.
Plays for the Cardinals, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's been averaging 11 points per game so far.
Not terrible. Or
also not great either. Or should I think about starting Darrell Williams this week?
Ugh. Also Cardinals?
Also Cardinals.
Connor is what now? To go back to the beginning of the show and scroll way
Questionable.
far.
It's an ankle injury too, I think. So I'm thinking Cardinals going to sit out this week.
It is still versus the Rams. They're pretty good defense, just generally speaking. Top of my head, I don't have any stats to support that, but they're pretty good.
Oh yeah, we're playing each other this week.
Oh, and friends with benefits.
Friends with benefits, yep.
I probably shouldn't answer then, but I don't know.
That's my question was for Dynasty.
I feel like Jalen Ramsey could take old Hollywood out of the game, and
yeah, I don't think Jalen Ramsey.
There's no Hopkins there to worry about. Otherwise, he might be on Hopkins, and
I don't think Jalen Ramsey is not the guy he used to be.
Oh well, yeah, that's fine, I guess.
Did you see the comment I made in obviously you didn't see it in the chat for Friends with Benefits. I was like, Jake's having a fire sale and no one's buying because he was dumping a bunch of players.
I mean, that was Diggs. He's one of the best in the league, so. Granted, it was Diggs deep, and that's not even necessarily... Diggs can do it, don't get me wrong, but that's not what he excels at. There's other top 3, top 5 receivers. Diggs burned... what's his face for the Rams in week 1 or 2? 1? Yeah, Buffalo Rams.
I just don't think that Jalen Ramsey is just what he used to be.
And that may be true also.
He's probably still a good corner, but he's just not the complete shutdown guy that he used to be. And is it Ramsey or was it God, what football game was I watching this past week where they were like, oh yeah, so and so really, it was the Packers game where Jair Alexander is just like, apparently he's a little frustrated that he's being played zone where he likes to play like shadow coverage, you know?
Yep.
And it's just like, yeah, why would you implement that? Why would you make a cover corner and play zone? Like, if anything, just let him play man and then everyone else play zone. You know, like, I get that pokes holes in the balloon of the zone coverage, but I'm just like, you have to scheme for the talent of your players.
No, I hear you.
I will never ever understand this, man. Like,
maybe that's to your point about he's not what he used to be. Maybe he can't play that anymore, and his coach knows it, and he's like, no, you're playing this. Now, to be fair, I did hear.
I feel like it takes more athleticism to play zone because you have to cover an area versus man where you're just shadowing a guy. You know, I don't know.
Being closer to the receiver makes it harder to.
Yeah, I see your point.
It's really hard to play man.
The second I said it, I was like,
I did overhear/read something today about the percentages are definitely tipping in terms of defenses just running more zone. Like they're like, just keep it in front of you type of thing. You know, yeah, there's been a lot of that going on. So
then don't break sort of thing.
Some of the types of receivers that are excelling, like your Cooper Kupps, are traditionally, they're not just slot guys, but they're win a lot of their matches.
And that's how they're winning too. Is
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Just keep them in front of you. And I'm like, yeah, but what happens when they get by you then? Because that can easily happen in zone because someone's over here and then they're like that entire like section in the field. There's no man around.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, there's definitely zone beaters for sure. But no, that was just a reference that this information was making was that like an Amon-Ra St. Brown is dominating this year because he's a primarily a slot guy and wins.
Dude, I wanted to get him higher in my preseason ranks, and I really should have. Like, I thought I was like, it was a lot of just like, what if we're wrong about Cooper Kupp this year? And I'm like, or not Cooper Kupp, Jared Goff.
Jared Goff, yeah. That's
I'm like, what if Jared Goff turns into Jared Goff again? And
I think Jared Goff has himself another Cooper Kupp.
I'm starting to wonder if he's just one of those guys that like, it happens in baseball sometimes where they just like, guys just need to change the scenery, you know? Like it's just, and it sometimes happens in football too.
And they got so close to winning it with Goff too, to be fair. Like he was probably on a big losing the Super Bowl hangover, whatever term you want to throw at that.
I think the entire team was.
Yeah, that's fair. Anyway, no, I was going to say one more thing about Detroit. Anyway, whatever we're talking about. Amon-Ra St. Brown is playing very well. Goff is my streamer this week. Yay.
Yay, team, go team. Woot woot. Should I play Rashad Penny or
for friends? I didn't type up any asking for
Rashad
friends.
Penny or Jeff Wilson? Or Alan Lazard, the guy who you hate with a passion.
Hey, Lazard? Got him on my dynasty team.
Sorry, I said Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson, not Alan Lazard. Allen Robinson.
Oh, you said Lazard. You meant Robinson.
I did say Lazard. I'm getting a little drunk.
Who are the two backs? I'm sorry. The two running backs.
Oh, I have J.K. Dobbins too. Damn. How am I 1-1 in this league? Anyways, Allen Robinson, Alan Lazard. I did say both of them, or Jeff Wilson, or Rashad Penny.
Hey.
Wilson. I'm just quoting Castaway.
I think I'm leading Rashad Penny because it's the Falcons.
That's who's some of my types.
I don't know what his snaps look like in week 2. He was pretty damn good in week 1, if I recall. It's Mr. Penny.
That's a good question. Let's look that up, Chris.
But then again, Walker's healthy now, so there's that.
Wonder Tech asked, "What are you going to dress up as for the Halloween week stream?" Chris, do you want to reveal that or not?
A 45-year-old fantasy analyst in his basement. That's what I'm going to dress up as.
I am going to dress up also as a 45-year-old analyst in his basement who is really who is enthused about bears. He's a bear enthusiast, and I'm not talking about the animal.
You mean a hottest gummy bear, maybe?
Nope.
That's it. Josh is going to dress up as a hot gummy bear. Hot fantasy gummy bear. This stream just took a turn for the worst, folks. Good night. I'm just kidding.
I'm going to take my fat suit off and just be Chris for that week.
Oh, I know. I was going to look up for asking for a friend here that a friend of mine might need an answer for.
That's just you.
Such as Tua or Wentz this week. Tough one. Dump you.
I don't like you.
I've got more. Oh, I've got more. Got more.
It should be Wentz. I just don't trust him, so I'm going Tua.
Okay. Surprise there.
I just don't trust him.
Same friend, AJ Dillon or
still you.
Same friend, AJ Dillon or Kyle Pitts. Right, it's a flex question, folks.
Dillon.
Oh, would you like to know who my other tight end is in the league in which I picked up Kyle Pitts? Is that why you have that perplexed look on your face? It's Mark Andrews.
No. Okay.
So
in that league, you can't
start two tight ends.
In that tight league, you can't start two tight ends.
Yeah, that's not what it appears it says. It has a T next to it.
Really? Fucking changing that shit right now.
Oh, no, you can't, dude. That's not fair.
I am definitely changing it right now.
No, then I want my money back, and you have to put Pitts back on what's-his-face.
You never gave me any money.
Fab money. And yes, I did pay for this league.
No, you didn't.
I did. OMG, this stream is going off the rails, folks. Let's close it out, buddy. Enough asking for friends. So yeah, no, AJ Dillon or Pitts. Who would you pick? Oh, we're playing each other.
Well, consider you can't. Well, consider you can't start 2 tight ends. It doesn't matter.
How can you not? You're seriously going to change that?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that. You can't change that, dude. It's week 3.
My league, I can do what I want.
Dude, I just spent $5 to pick up Pitts under the pretense that you can start 2 tight ends. That's bullshit.
Well, that's not my fault.
Boom,
changed.
Fucking asshole. Close the stream.
A wrong has been righted, and a right has been wronged. And that's why I'm a jerk. I'm not actually going to leave it that way. Just let you know. Hello. And Chris has left us in a fit of rage because he really upset that I'm messing with him. Anyways, meanwhile, back at the ranch.
We're going to close the stream out.
Did you realize I was messing with you?
Anyway.
That's bullshit. I did not mean to leave it that way, but it is back to the way it was.
Good.
I fucking hate that anyways. It never should have been that way.
Could have changed it to begin with.
What?
And homeboy couldn't, wouldn't have dropped Pitts. None of this would have been an issue. Hey,
it shouldn't have been that way to begin with.
Awful this season.
It shouldn't have been that way to begin with. That was not the intention of the way the league was set up. Because none of my leagues are always ever set up that way. But since it was initiated that way, I will leave it that way.
But see, now he's touched my roster, so maybe he is horrible. Maybe he will be a bust. Maybe he will be. I don't think so. In fact, it was so pleasing for you. I think you opened with tight ends, and I was like, oh sweet, he included. He has something to say about Pitts.
Like, I'm not mad that you picked up Pitts.
I thought maybe you'd
I
seen him. I'd gotten
absolutely care less that you picked up Pitts.
I'm glad you brought him up for the sake of the show. That's what I'm saying.
I'm like that is no. I'm fucking pissed at myself because I fucking hate that that's a fucking category that you can actually flex a tight end. I'm fucking pissed that that's the way it was.
Called flex for a reason. It's flexible. Gives you the ability to
for wide receiver and running back.
Barely, yeah. 19 in 2003.
and we'll call it super flex. Then you can call it. Then you can put in a tight end in there.
Anyway,
and a quarterback.
So you'd go with AJ Dillon then, I guess, out of sheer spite.
I would go out of that because there was never a reason to ever flex a tight end in there outside of the 1 year that I drafted fucking Gronk and Jimmy Graham, and after that year, that was the fucking year. That's the reason why they started making putting tight end available in there, because there's such an outcry for that because a lot of other people did so as well. And I'm like, that's fucking horseshit.
Oh, so it's pettiness is the reason. I see.
Yeah. Absolutely, it's pettiness.
Yeah.
Would you expect anything less from me?
That's why. That's why I don't think you should change it in our league next year. I'm
going to. Right will be wrong. Wrong will be right.
I will petition all the league members to vote for yes.
You think you have a choice? Dude. You think you have a choice? I set the league up how I want.
How often does anybody actually do it? It's so hard to
exactly.
do.
That's why it should never be a thing.
Then why take it away? It's like the default on every single fantasy site that's out there now. Has been for years.
Yes, ever since that 1 year where I could not fucking do it. Fucking
pettiness.
It's my fucking league. I created it. I can do what I want.
I don't know. I like to think the league belongs to the league mates.
Yep, and I set it up. So upon setup, if someone was to outcry, be like, hey, I'm like, hey, you can go find a different league where every other league does that. So there you go. Or you can not worry about it and just not start 2 tight ends because no one's ever going to.
Unless you have Kyle Pitts and Mark Andrews.
Outside of this rare chance. And even then, good luck.
Yeah, there you go. We'll see. I guess
I'm like, all this shit aside, I'm starting to worry that I was right about Kyle Pitts this year and that.
Please, I have 2 words: Marcus Mariota.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you didn't let me finish. I was like, and the reason being Marcus Mariota.
And for better or worse, we may not get a good answer with Ritter in there. I mean, I'm ready to see. I say I'm ready to see him. Maybe another week or so, but I'm ready to see Ritter. I just don't know if it's going to be a Pitts savior thing. I think some play calling could be a Pitts savior thing. Savior type of thing. I think Pitts talent alone is going to win out this season for sure. If not, and from a dynasty perspective moving forward, because that was the big thing. He was he was probably overdrafted and redrafted a little. Maybe he was still very good, but dynasty he was so highly drafted. He was like a top 4 pick. Dynasty rookie draft.
3.
So it was really hard to. I think it was your first year in dynasty. So it was a real hard pill to swallow at the tight end position. It really was, and I get it. But I was all about it.
I didn't need him on my team either.
That too, yeah. And I mean, I wasn't going to get him because I was drafting too. I don't even think I had a first that year. Anyway, I was drafting too low.
You drafted Terrace Marshall.
Yeah, and in the first.
How's Terrace Marshall? Yeah, and how's that working out for you?
Horribly.
Yeah, what the fuck, man? Speaking of guys that need to fucking a new location, probably Terrace Marshall.
I don't think Baker's a very good quarterback. I don't think Matt Rule's a good head coach. I don't think they have a good defense at all.
Their defense? No, their defense is actually pretty good.
Okay, well then their offensive line is awful.
There you go.
And I don't think a running back of CMC stature can make a difference in winning football games, nor have they ever really. Well, that doesn't mean at all.
I also think that there's very few running backs that are gonna make a big difference with their offensive line being
that's what I'm getting
as bad.
Yeah. Why invest in them if you're that bad of a team? I don't know. Maybe at one time they thought they had a good quarterback. I don't know. They're really bad.
So I had this idea. It was before the season started. It was right before week 1, right before the game started. I was like, watch Davis Mills and Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan fuck around and be just good enough to leave all their teams in the middle of the first round. So that they're just like, well, I guess we're stuck with you, but yet you're not very good.
Did you say Goff? I'm sorry.
No, I said. Oh no, I did not say Goff, but I meant Goff and with the Lions as well. Like 4 guys that are just like mediocre quarterbacks.
Okay.
That like just leave their team in the bottom half of like in the middle or bottom half of the first round, and it's just like not in position to get a quarterback next year. And I was just
you vent about the whole flex thing. Let me vent about something real quick. Won't be that long. Trust me, folks. People have been. Are saying we still
streaming?
People have been saying that about Dak.
You ended the stream, right?
Still streaming.
What?
We're still streaming.
Oh, okay. Hey.
I thought you were going to close it when I walked off after your.
God, I didn't take my clothes off.
I walked off to make a drink. When you did the whole flex thing, I was like, close it, and I walked off or whatever I said. I said close it or close the stream or something, and then I walked off. I thought you would close it, but you didn't. You didn't really close the recording either, so we're not going to have like a see you next week. Well, I mean, we do have a see you next week thing, but we don't have all the. Anyway, we'll work on that later. So maybe we should end this stream. I was just going to say people are, streaming but not recording, correct. That things, people have been saying that about Dak. Dak's just good enough to win you enough games to keep you thinking, this or that. I was like, first of all, being 8-8 or I'm sorry, 8-9 or 9-8 or 10-7 is different than
Do
being.
you know how math works?
Well, I don't like the 17 game thing. Apparently, I cannot get used to it. Winning 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 games is much different than just barely scraping by at 500, They're more competitive than that, is all I'm saying. Now, if one wants to say he's just good enough to win you 11, 12, 13 games and then be one and done in the playoffs, or get one playoff win at the most and not bring in another guy, then it's sure, that's fine. But getting a playoff win is more significant than not.
I think right now Dak is good enough to be in 11 or 12 games.
Oh, with health? Well, yeah. Health being the caveat.
That was me poking the bear.
Oh. Because of his health, right?
Trolling you. I was trolling you, but yeah.
I just think it's ridiculous people say that about Dak. But I don't really. That's the first thing I've said to anybody about it, because what can I do? Just keep a mouth shut. And we won. That's more important than anything else. But a lot of negative press about him, and probably justly so. Why Josh was ignoring my jokes.
Oh, I thought we were done streaming. I thought you legit got pissed and you were just dropped the mic and you're like, fuck this shit, I'm out. And then I'm like, oh shit, we're still streaming. And then you came back and I was
you said we each time. Chris left us in a angry, whatever he said, rant or whatever. Not a rant, or whatever.
And then you came back and I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, and you're like, oh, we're still streaming. And I was like, oh, I don't know, whatever.
All right, on that note,
let's end the stream.
We'll be back next week, folks, and it is not normally an hour and 20-minute show. We're normally done in a much more tidy manner, where we cut off the replay.
Chris took Viagra tonight.
We do some questions. Stick around for questions. Stick around for our sleeper of the week every single week.
Yes, sleepers every week that are definitely my own.
Yep. You get
and
5
Chris's
RBs.
Own as well.
You get 5 RBs and 5 wide receivers. The Fav Five, or the Flex Five, according to Josh.
20 F-bombs. Come on.
What? I said flex.
There was at least 30.
And then the sleeper portion of the show, where you get a couple tight ends and a couple quarterbacks on
5.
Streamer. Did I say sleeper or streamer? Streamers and on the sleepers.
Need to learn how to count.
Questions at the end of the show. Sunday morning stream at 10 a.m. Central, where you get last minute up to the minute injury and news updates and lineup advice, and have a cup of coffee with Chris and Josh.
A virtual cup of coffee.
Follow us both on Twitter.
God, what was
AFFB, at AFFB Chris.
What if I was drinking coffee right now? I'd be up until midnight.
Join Discord. I heard from a. Go ahead. What's that about coffee?
So then it should have been 21. Oh, you don't have that 21st digit. Okay. Sorry, Wonder Tech.
Well, in 5 minutes, I ran out of digits. Okay.
21 digits.
See you later.
You have 21 digits. I have 21 digits. Obviously, Wonder Tech doesn't.
What to do? I'm just gonna hit the end. I'm just gonna hit the end scene.
Bye, Wonder Tech. Good luck, everyone, this week.